Hey everyone, and welcome to your C++ example using if statements and else statements. So, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but I recently had, my wife and I recently had a baby, and babies cry a lot, and you don't always know why the baby's crying. I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great to have a program that can tell us um, what to do when your baby's crying to sort of figure out what's going on with the baby. So I thought, for example, we could create one using our if and else logic. So I have Visual Studio pulled up here, Hello World program ready to go. I'm going to delete Hello World, and I'd like to just quickly define the sort of three things that you might even hear my baby in the background during this video. I'd like to just define here the three things that you can do to calm a baby. And there's tons more than this, but these are the hits, right? So you can feed the baby. You can also change the baby's diaper, and then you can also burp the baby. So these are the three kind of things you can do. You can feed the baby when the baby is hungry. You can change the baby's diaper when the baby has a dirty diaper. And if he's not hungry and he doesn't have a dirty diaper and he's still crying, you can try to burp the baby. So let's write a program that can sort of guide us in how to do this. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to bring in the standard library. And so I don't have to prefix everything with std. And I'll create a Boolean. This will be the Boolean to represent whether or not the baby is hungry. And so you will call this is hungry. I'm going to give it the initial value of false, just as a placeholder value, so it's not null. I'm going to create another Boolean, and this one is going to be called has dirty diaper. We're going to set that one to false as well. Now, I have these two Booleans to represent the two states that the baby could be in. Now what I'd like to do is I need to sort of print out some text to the user asking them for their entry saying, is your baby hungry? Does your baby have a dirty diaper? They're going to enter in an answer, and I need to store that. Remember, they're entering in a string, right? And so I need to store those two strings that they enter into two variables. And then what I can do is I can check the variable to see, did they enter yes or did they enter no? If they entered yes to the question, is your baby hungry? I will flip this is hungry Boolean. This is hungry Boolean to true. If not, I will set it to false. So we need some strings to contain the values that the user enters in. So create a string, and it will be called hungry answer. And I'm going to set that to an empty string. Create another string called diaper answer, and I'll set it to an empty string as well. And I'll do a cout, and so we'll print out to the console a show greeting, welcome to baby helper. And then I'll print out, I'll start a comment here, and I'll say, this is where we will check for hungry baby. And so we'll say, is your baby hungry? Here. And we'll do a get line to receive the text of the user that user enters. You might remember in our previous tutorials, our get line needs to take an input stream. So we're going to use our cin input stream from the standard library. From the standard library. And I'll pass in my hungry answer. So now that that get line will take in the user's entry and it'll store it in this string here. And so we have the answer that the user puts in. And so we're going to say if the hungry answer is equal to yes, then we will set our is hungry variable to equal true. Cool. Okay. So now there's a lot of other things we could probably do. We could put if the hungry answer is equal to yes. And remember, the user entry is case sensitive. So if they entered a capital letter for any of these letters, it would, this would evaluate to false. So the user could answer capital YES, and it would not match this. It will only match in lowercase letters. I don't want to go too much into error handling or anything like that right now, but just for the sake of a little bit of flexibility here, we'll say if the hungry answer is yes, or yes with a capital Y, right? So if the user enters in all caps, it'll still fail, but we have two possible ways the user can enter yes here. And so if the user enters yes, we will set is hungry to true. Else, if the user doesn't answer yes, we will set is hungry to equal false. It's technically already set to false, so we wouldn't need to do anything here, but just for the sake of clarity, I want to do that. Okay, so this handles the setting of our is hungry variable. We're going to take an input from the user. We're going to read that input in our if statement logic here, and we're going to set is hungry to true. Okay, so this will handle if the baby is hungry or not. Now we need to do this same thing for a dirty diaper. For dirty diaper. Okay. So we're going to see out, does your baby have a dirty diaper? Oops. Oh, there we go. And so again, we're going to, I'm going to copy this line up here. We're going to do a get line, and we're going to have diaper answer. So this will store our answer to the dirty diaper question. And we are going to have, no, actually just copy this same if logic down here. But instead of hungry answer, we're going to have diaper answer, right? Switches to diaper answer. And instead of is hungry, we're going to set has dirty diaper to true, or set has dirty diaper to false. Cool. Okay, so now we have our input logic for is the baby hungry? Does the baby have a dirty diaper? Now we need to print out our advice to our user. So let's create some more space over here. And we will call this advice logic. Cool. And so if the baby is hungry, right? So so just to make this clear, I'm going to say if is hungry is equal to true, then we're going to execute the stuff in this block. But remember, we don't really need this equals true. I'm just doing this for clarity. We could leave this here because remember, it just needs a Boolean value, and is hungry already contains a Boolean in it. So this would be totally valid and just fine. But for the sake of clarity, it's an intro course. I'm just going to use this equals operator just to make things clear. So if is hungry is equal to true, and it's the same as we did up here. If the diaper answer is equal to yes, or if the diaper answer is equal to, oh, see, I missed this, is equal to capital, sorry about that, guys. I forgot my other equivalency operator here. Or if the diaper answer is equal to yes with a capital Y, then we do what's in the if statement. If neither of these are true, if they're both false, then we'll set the dirty diaper to false. We're going to do that same thing down here. If is hungry is equal to true, then we are going to advise the user, feed your baby. Cool. So next we can check, we can do an else if and say else if the baby has a dirty diaper is equal to true, then we can say change your baby's diaper. All right. And then finally, we can just do an else here. We could just do an else because we've checked these two, and now the last thing of burping your baby has to be true. But for the sake of our example, I would like to create another else if. Oops. And I'm going to say else if the baby is not hungry. Remember this. If we go back to our operators tutorial, saying if it is this is a negation operator or the logical not. So if the baby is not hungry and the baby does not have a dirty diaper, then we're going to advise our user to try burping your baby. Okay, awesome. So we have our advice logic here. If let's start at the top here. So we have our Booleans created. We've defaulted them to false. We have our answers created, and we've defaulted them to an empty string. We're going to greet the user with a welcome to baby helper greeting. And then we're going to print out, is your baby hungry? Then we'll receive an answer from the user that they'll enter. It'll be either yes or no. If the answer is, we're going to store the answer, in the hungry answer variable. And if the answer is equal to yes, or the answer is equal to yes with a capital Y, we're going to set the is hungry Boolean variable to true. And if the answer is not yes, then we're going to set the is hungry value to false. Next, we're going to check for a dirty diaper, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the user's input, store it in this variable, check to see if it's equal to yes, and then we'll set the has dirty diaper variable to true or false, depending on what the user has entered. Finally, to give our logic, or to provide our advice, to provide our advice, we're going to check the Booleans to see if is hungry is equal to true, then we will say, hey, your baby's hungry, you need to feed your baby. Else if the baby has a dirty diaper, and that's equal to true. I'm glad that we're going over this because I missed my equivalency operator here. If has a dirty diaper is equal to true. I forgot my two. Okay. Then we are going to say change your baby's diaper. And we have another else if here. If the baby is hungry and not has dirty diaper. So if these are both false, right? Because the negation operator is saying, hey, if this is the opposite of true, then we will say try burping your baby. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is pull up real quick. I'm going to just navigate over to my project. Okay. Um, I'm going to compile our C++ program. And then I'm going to run our executable. Oh, you know what? We should really go over this. So I didn't use the end line, and I'll fix this in a second, but I didn't use the end line character. So this is all going to be in one line, unfortunately. So it says, welcome to Baby Helper. Is your baby hungry? I'm going to say yes. Does your baby have a dirty diaper? I'm going to say no. And it says, feed your baby. Perfect. So you can see our logic is working here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to follow this up with our end line character. And so I'm going to do this at the end of every printout here. This is a good idea. It's just a little bit more readable. Actually, I don't need to do it down here. This is where I need to do it. Yes, cool. All right, so let's compile this again. And we will run our executable. And we see, is your baby hungry? And I'll say no this time. And does your baby have a dirty diaper? I'll say yes. And it says change your baby's diaper. Perfect. Let's run it one last time. And we'll get our last scenario. Is your baby hungry? No. Does your baby have a dirty diaper? No. And then it says try burping your baby. Perfect. So this has been our example using our if-else statement. You can also see we're using, the logical not operator, the logical or operator, and the equivalency operator. We're using the logical and operator. So we're using a lot of the concepts that we've learned in the last couple, tutorials. Also, what we're doing is, we're making good use of our Boolean type and variables. You can kind of see, as well as input and output. So you can kind of see how all this stuff is building on each other, right? So we started out learning just like, input, output, variables, types. Now we're moving into, if-else statements and logical operators. So everything kind of stacks on top of itself with coding, which is why it's important really to get these first fundamental things down, is because it all builds on itself and you need to create a really solid foundation. And really understanding Boolean logic and understanding, the flow of control by using if-else statements, that's super important. So I hope you guys kind of get a good hang on this. I hope this was, or a good handle on this. And I hope this was a good tutorial. You might need to watch it a couple times or watch certain parts a couple times to fully grasp it, but this stuff is super important. So thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully be able to kind of get this message across for you. Thanks.